Imagine being asked to hurt another human being, not in a moment of rage, not out of hatred, but calmly, methodically, because someone in authority told you to. Now imagine you obey. History shows that some of the most disturbing acts ever committed were not carried out by monsters, but by ordinary people, following orders. So the question is not why do criminals commit crimes? The real question is, why do normal people obey when authority tells them to do harm? Welcome to Mind Under Crime, a channel where we explore human behavior through psychology, real cases, and powerful experiments. Here, we don't focus on sensationalism. We focus on understanding why people think, decide, and act the way they do, especially under pressure. Today, we're examining one of the most unsettling forces in human psychology: obedience to authority. In the early 1960s, psychologist Stanley Milgram conducted an experiment at Yale University. Participants were told they were part of a study on learning and memory. Their role was simple: administer electric shocks to another person whenever they gave a wrong answer. The shocks increased in intensity, from mild discomfort to levels labeled danger, severe shock. But here's the twist: the person receiving the shocks wasn't actually being harmed. They were an actor. The real experiment wasn't about memory, it was about obedience. Each time a participant hesitated, an authority figure in a lab coat calmly said things like, "Please continue. The experiment requires that you go on. You have no other choice." And most people did, not because they were cruel, but because they believed authority knew better. What makes this so disturbing is not the experiment itself, but how ordinary the participants were. These were not criminals, they were not violent individuals, they were students, teachers, workers. And yet, placed in the right environment, many of them crossed moral lines they believed they never would. This forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Evil does not always come from evil people. Often it comes from ordinary people placed under extraordinary pressure. So what was really happening inside their minds? First, authority bias. Humans are wired to trust figures of authority, doctors, teachers, leaders, especially when situations feel complex or uncertain. Second, diffusion of responsibility. Participants didn't feel fully responsible for their actions. They believed the experimenter, not them, was accountable. Third, gradual escalation. The shocks increased slowly. Each step felt small, making it easier to justify the next one. And finally, social conditioning. From childhood, we're taught that obedience is a virtue. Disobedience is punished. Compliance is rewarded. Under authority, moral judgment often shuts down, not suddenly, but quietly. This same psychological mechanism appears in real-world crime. Soldiers following unlawful orders, employees committing fraud under management pressure, ordinary people participating in systems they privately disagree with. Obedience doesn't require evil intent, it requires context, pressure, and authority. The human brain is wired for social survival. From childhood, we are taught to respect authority: parents, teachers, doctors, leaders. Obedience is not a flaw, it is a survival mechanism. The problem arises when authority replaces personal judgment. In those moments, responsibility shifts. The mind quietly says, "I am not the one deciding, I am just following orders." Psychologists call this phenomenon displacement of responsibility. When an authority figure gives an order, the brain reduces emotional resistance. Guilt is diluted. Accountability feels shared. This is why people can commit acts they would personally condemn if they believed the decision was entirely their own. History shows this pattern repeatedly. Large-scale crimes rarely rely on monsters. They rely on systems. Systems where authority is unquestioned and obedience is rewarded. When enough people stop asking, "Is this right?" and start asking, "Who told me to do this?" harm becomes normalized. This isn't just about history or experiments. You face authority every day. At work, in institutions, in social systems, even in families. Ask yourself, do I question instructions or assume authority is right? Would I speak up if something felt wrong? Am I acting or just complying? Understanding obedience gives you one powerful advantage: awareness. Awareness doesn't make you immune, but it gives you a pause. And sometimes that pause is the difference between compliance and choice. The most dangerous part of obedience is not how it affects criminals or soldiers, it is how easily it affects everyday life, in workplaces, in families, in institutions. Obedience often hides behind phrases like, "That's just how things are done," or "I didn't have a choice." The real question is not whether you would obey authority. The question is, at what point would you stop? Understanding this psychology does not make you immune, but it gives you awareness, and awareness is often the only barrier between obedience and personal responsibility. The most dangerous thing about obedience is not that it exists, it's that it feels normal. Most people who commit harmful acts never wake up planning to do wrong. They simply follow a path where responsibility slowly disappears. So remember this: authority can influence behavior, but it doesn't erase accountability. The moment you stop questioning is the moment obedience takes control. This is mind under crime. And this is how ordinary minds can make extraordinary and sometimes terrifying decisions.